Tag TV, and Tag Radio, rapidly becoming the leading technology new media in all of Georgia and the Southeast. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by Integrated Learning Services, integratedlearningservices.com. Wait, worry, or take control. At integratedlearningservices.com, increase sales, productivity, and client retention. Lower training costs. integratedlearningservices.com. It would seem that most potential clients have already tried using offshore development by now. Some commercial software industry execs, well, they've been burned by either higher turnover at offshore firms or, quite frankly, the lack of quality in the deliverables. It's understandable, maintaining multiple releases of products across multiple platforms, all while trying to re-architect a product for future scalability and flexibility, well, in a word, can be challenging. Outsourced offshore development, a thing of the past, or really just gaining acceleration in the United States market. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, May 11th, 2010, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. Today we go live to Philadelphia, one of several offices for Atlanta-based ObjectFrontier, an industry leader in commercial-grade software product development from healthcare ISVs and other technology companies, to meet with Company Vice President of Sales and Marketing, Rich Napoli. While headquartered in Atlanta, ObjectFrontier has clients in 15 countries across 4 continents, operating out of offices in Atlanta, Philly, India, and the Philippines. Rich is a 30-year industry expert, having served as head of product development for such software firms as Oracle, Princeton Financial, Magna, and Voxware. More recently, provided his executive leadership experience serving as CEO of Fusion Technologies, an offshore development firm he doubled in size before selling and integrating that firm into a larger operation. Tech Talks focuses on the future for full life cycle software development, maintenance, testing, and support for software companies pressed for technical resources, whether due to growth or cost issues. Offshore development, current and future impact in the U.S. healthcare software and technology market, as we speak with industry expert, VP, Sales and Marketing for Atlanta-based global provider of comprehensive software and hardware solutions, ObjectFrontier's Rich Napoli. Rich, welcome to Tech Talk.
Hey, Frank, how are you? Thanks for having me on your show today.
High turnover and, well, the lack of quality and deliverables. I mentioned in the introduction today to Tech Talk that surely most potential clients have already tried offshore development by now. You guys have been in the business since '97. You've got 30 years of experience. Give our listeners a little insight in what your take is for offshore development, a thing of the past or really just gaining traction?
Yeah, thanks, Frank. I think it's certainly gaining traction. As you said, most companies by now have tried offshore development at least once, and typically, if you're like me, who's ran software groups in the past, certainly been burned by them and have learned something from them. But I think today, there's a couple of things that make it different, and certainly for us here at ObjectFrontier. First, we've been focused primarily on commercial software development, meaning software that generates revenue either for the company or for the company's customers. Mm-hmm. So we're used to, designing software that is facing the customer, so the user interface is different. We're used to designing it for scalability, for flexibility, because it could be multiple customers, multiple companies using the same product. And all that is a little different than building what I would call in-house back office sort of IT systems. And so we've been doing that for 13 years. We've been doing that primarily focused on the healthcare space. So we do a lot of product development for a large healthcare software company right in Alpharetta. And we've been doing that for years. And so we've gotten very good at both healthcare and software product development. We also learned how to retain good people. I think that's another problem a lot of customers have had with offshore use before, that you bring on some guys, you get them trained up, they're pretty good guys.
Sure, turnover, huh?
Yeah, and then they leave, and, and they're gone, and you got to start all over. With ObjectFrontier, because we've really taken the time to invest in our people, and we only hire people that, after a lot of screening, our turnover rate is only 4%, which is pretty good even by U.S. standards, but for India standards, it's quite remarkable.
Do you, I guess, is there a rebuilding of trust and almost like a triage that has to be done because of all the problems that have happened in the past? Or
yeah, I think so. I think people are maybe a little gun shy, and it may have had to deal with some of the language barriers and time zone barriers in the past, and so there is a rebuilding of trust. And for us, we focus primarily on our results to say, look, we've been doing this for a while. Our clients call our clients and talk to them.
Sure.
They will tell about our, our accountability, our flexibility, our entrepreneurial spirit, our processes. So those are the things, you got to start small maybe and get going. But I think when you hear from others that are doing the same thing, I think that can help rebuild the trust.
Obviously, quality is, in the long term, the only deliverable that matters. But obviously, in a lot of cases, many of the situations are due to simply economics. Is that still a viable competitive situation? I mean, is the cost still competitive and to an advantage to do something like that?
I think it's still an advantage. It certainly, I think there was some, false tendency to think that you were going to have incredible savings on the scale of 3 or 4 times less expensive. Mm-hmm. And the reality is you can't get that kind of economies because you have to invest in order to make offshore work, you have to invest some of your own resources to make sure that the work is being handed across properly, that you're getting the results you want, that you're managing for changes. So all those things take an investment on the company's standpoint. So we like to say, all in, by the time you get the savings, but you compensate for your own investment, it's probably still 40 to 50% cheaper than if you would use it all onshore.
So, I mean, it is a factor, but still the bottom line anymore now, we all talk about convergence and global connectivity and the fact that geographic location really doesn't make any difference. It's the company like ObjectFrontier. You're dealing with performance and you're dealing with experience. Again, as I mentioned earlier, going back to 97, so I guess that's what you're really looking for, and that's really what the company is saying that we're all about. What we're about is promising what we deliver and deliver what we promise. Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, it's all about results. And this company is, pretty low-key guys. I wouldn't even use the word humble, but, they're just guys that just get about doing their business. They don't overpromise, and they follow through. And it's nothing exotic, nothing, no incredible breakthrough here. This is just good, solid execution by a team of guys that really know their stuff. Well, anyone that knows the company knows that you guys are on a focus to the healthcare industry. Is there something that you guys offer that specializes in the healthcare software and technology? Well, I guess the biggest thing there is our domain experience. We've been building. I mean, we don't have to ask why. I would guess that the healthcare industry right now is going through the biggest transformation that it's had in probably its history. Well, I was going to say, the obvious thing, of course, is just the healthcare industry is getting a lot of attention, both at the federal level, at the state level. Certainly, it represents a sixth of the economy. So from a business strategy standpoint, of course, it makes sense for us to focus on that. But, we've been doing this for a while so that we understand the challenges of, security and regulations in that space are very tight between the HIPAA and the HL7 requirements. They demand a lot from anybody that's going to build software in that environment. And we've been doing that for a number of years. We've been working on medical imaging systems, patient billing systems, release of information systems, claims management systems. So we've been doing, a number of application products in those areas. So our domain knowledge is there so that when we talk to a client, they know right away that we're speaking their language and we understand. They don't have to train us in many of the things that, you might have to start from scratch with other outsourced providers. So you're blessed with a great opportunity, but right people at the right time and all of the growth that's going on, plus you've got all the experience. So the combination of those things, it would be, I guess the term, perfect storm. Yeah, we should hire you as our marketing guy there. I agree. I think it's just it's a good confluence of events here. Yeah. We have the right guys, and
for ObjectFrontier, it's a question of just taking all the good work they've done and letting people know about it. It's really it's there to be examined, and we're very proud of that. So hopefully this will be a good growth for us.
Now, I know that you guys are involved in like 15 countries, many continents. You've got multiple offices, both in the United States and around the world. But you've got also a really good presence here in Atlanta. In fact, actually with several software vendors as clients. But maybe give our listeners a little insight. What's your expansion plans? Do you have any expansion for both here in Atlanta and in the United States?
Sure, yeah. As you said, we've been in the Atlanta area, for a number of years, about 13 years now, and I'm coming to know the Atlanta area. I'm fairly new to it myself, but someone described it to me as the biggest small town in America, and my time in there, I've already seen that it's everyone is fairly connected and eager to do business. So we're looking forward to growing there. Obviously, focused on healthcare primarily, but we've done some other good work with other ISVs outside of the healthcare space, whether it be in financial services or embedded systems. So we look to take our software vendor experience and apply that to the local market in Atlanta. And I'm based out of Philadelphia. We'll be doing that in Philadelphia as well. And so we'll be hiring some sales guys, hiring some consulting engineers, I guess I'd call them, and looking to grow our presence in both markets, and then eventually beyond those areas. I like to service multiple, local markets with local talent, and I think there's enough opportunities in Atlanta, Nashville, perhaps, that we'll be growing there quite substantially.
Now, you mentioned the quality of the owners, maybe go into, if you will, a little bit of the history of ObjectFrontier, and maybe some of the background of the owners.
Yep. It's an unusual company, I found. I've done offshoring companies before. This one's a little different. It's started by three brothers in India, three Christian brothers, which is somewhat unusual there. So when you look on the website, you'll see some kind of English-sounding names with very Indian faces. But very nice gentlemen, and started back in '97. The one brother sort of acts as the investor. He runs a much larger company over there, a $100 million food processing company. And which has nothing to do with IT, but his two younger brothers are both heavily into IT, and so they've, worked together to build ObjectFrontier up. They started originally as a product company, which is sort of where they get their commercial software experience from. They had their own software products in the financial space, but they still service mostly financial services industry products for anti-money laundering software for banks and things like that. And as that turned into more of a maintenance revenue stream, they got into the services business and focused, as I said, on the healthcare side. And they've expanded, started in Atlanta, but we now have accounts here in Philadelphia, in other parts. I believe in Boston we have one as well. So we've got a few key accounts. Certainly the biggest ones are down in Atlanta. We have several software vendors right there, and we're looking to build out on that.
Maybe just to add in closing, go into a little bit about the next few years. From a global standpoint, there's a lot of transformation going on in terms of the financial the economics of a lot of economies. The United States marketplace is in a transformation, and yet at the same time, convergence is being fulfilled. I think it's an incredible time. I guess it has always been, but now more than ever, software and technology is certainly the backbone, the infrastructure of all of the global growth.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, I'm an old warhorse from in the software business for 30 years, and certainly have seen technology move from being an adjunct, a nice to have. Gee, wouldn't it be great if it worked someday? To the point now where it is absolutely integrated and vital to the to the world economies. As it applies to healthcare, if you know the healthcare legislation that's been passed recently, there's a significant investment this country is making in, connecting and interconnecting the various health agencies and hospitals and physicians together to be able to, unify patient information and clinical care delivery on a paperless basis. And I think we want to be part of that.
Well, we've been talking about outsourcing, and we've been dealing with some of the technology issues in terms of that whole marketplace. I mean, obviously, offshore development is very much still a viable part of our future. We've been talking to Rich Napoli, of VP of Sales and Marketing at ObjectFrontier. Rich, thank you so much for taking a moment of joining us today on Tech Talk.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and your listeners. Look forward to work. Tino's been great. It's been a big help getting me introduced into the marketplace, and the whole TAG organization has been very helpful. We look forward to working with them in the future.